We are at a Thai restaurant. I am so glad. Is this the one that your friends recommended?
Oh, we've been here before.
After or before the show.
Yeah, you came here before too.
Like judgment.
So I guess some people are.
Like who? Are we supposed to serve?
Maybe I should get curried.
Thank you.
She said yes.
Thank you.
Casey, you got it.
She did say no.
That's what I'm talking about.
You guys did it.
She can give us a go.
She thinks she means.
Casey, another thing about that scene is when he sees the fire, he doesn't move. He's like but he doesn't actually get up to help him. He's just like
What scene is this?
until he's leaving already.
Casey, how often did you think of us for inspiration when you were sitting up in that bedroom at Tarbell Avenue, studying that material?
Road or drive.
How often did you daydream to us?
You guys were an interesting sort of inspiration.
What is that?
I don't want to be like
No,
Love you guys.
Ask and ye shall be given.
Oh, I got my own shit.
I can't say it was a
Are you hungry,
very
Conrad?
big
portion.
Are you hungry?
portion. No, I don't know. It's tough to figure out what motivated me.
I think we should
go more
that your
ducks.
family supported you was
I know you had to eat poultry.
definitely an awesome
I know
foundation
you
to
were eating
build
poultry and stuff.
inspiration upon. That's all. No, we weren't poured in there. Okay, that's fine. We'll separate. But,
Do you have any
yeah.
more rice in there?
Casey,
You know she wants to keep.
if I asked you,
You're not hungry?
if I asked you on the spur of the moment,
Well, I already fed myself. It's the worm.
when you think back to your childhood, if you had to kind of categorize with one paintbrush and one stroke of the brush, what feelings you have about being a kid and what you went through in this family, what would you say?
I would probably start off by saying how frustrating it was doing chores.
He knows what you want and he's not giving you it.
But
Casey?
suffering with people, Shane specifically, and
Are suffering.
you know, that really formed a bond, and mostly great feelings. Other than,
Casey does 3 brushes.
but we didn't have
3 swipes of the
never
brush.
had a feeling of freedom though. Me and Shane used to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays, rush over, probably earlier, 6
So we could sneak over to Daniel's
go over to
house.
Daniel's, play Smash,
And
hang
Casey,
out with him.
what would you say the single most scary thing whenever we were at that house
The
was?
phone. Every time the phone rings, every bone in my body
Would cringe.
Do you listen to their parents answer it? Why, yes, they are.
We could very easily.
No worse feeling. You would get called home because you haven't cleaned your room, haven't cleaned the house,
Haven't done your chores.
Why didn't you guys just learn to do it?
why didn't you
You don't
just learn
understand
to
how-
live with it?
What did he
Oh
say?
my
Why
goodness.
did you just learn to live with it?
Nothing more terrorizing.
Thank
So
you.
one Saturday
Well,
morning,
if that's your terror in your life, you're pretty darn lucky.
Yeah, we
That's
are.
all I can
arguing
say.
Yep.
so one Saturday morning, Shane and I are in between, about halfway
fencing right now.
halfway between our house and Daniel's on the way,
Talk about this to you sometimes.
and we're like,
Nice.
let's just go. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Let's just go. And Shane's like, Mom's gonna call us anyways. We're just debating on whether we should go, enjoy ourselves now and get yelled at later, or we didn't really have a good alternative. Go home and do what? So we would go.
Read all these.
Like normal human beings on a Saturday morning.
Oh, not at that age.
So we would enjoy
At
it.
12, you sleep
But
late?
Was he
that
ready to
dreadful
come
ring would
over?
eventually come. Our day was over.
Would he know you were coming
But
at
if you
6
would've-
a.m.?
But
Weekends
if
were
you
awful.
would have gotten up
Make
at
it quick.
6:30,
Weekends with a big
Listen.
clean.
69844.
Weren't they, guys? The weekends with a big clean.
The Sunday we do the big full
Or
house
the
tidy.
Sunday,
All right,
just tidy up your room.
Damian, I ask you the same question.
Yeah, no, yeah, we get the big clean on Saturday with Mom, and then Dad comes up, let's tidy up. We just did the big clean. What's there to
Right
tidy?
after Chinese food, so we're like, oh, things are good right now.
What do you remember, Damian?
Well, my dad, he never cleaned. He always tidied.
Which is almost worse.
There's no end. You can always tidy. There's no end to tidy.
So vague,
You
yeah.
can tell when something's clean. You can always make something a little more tidy.
Hand vacuum.
Did you fold the top of the toilet paper? Because that would be tidy.
Now, wait a minute.
We didn't have to do that, but I'm saying there's no end.
Shane, is this the broad brush that you would paint? That you remember as you think
You
back?
know, now that they say it, I'm surprised I was able to block it out of my memory bank. But I'm not surprised as to why I did.
And I will say this. There were times that you two did get up and clean your room and went to Daniel's and you didn't get
Doubt
up.
it.
Yes, there were.
Not true.
Sir, what time?
We got the thing.
What time you close?
9.
Okay. You're not paying for this. Mom and I will take care of a lot of it.
Can I just say that throughout all of these big
lot of it.
cleans and
All of it,
tidies,
yes.
I think I'm the only one who successfully managed to maintain my messy room.
Your room is atrocious.
100% of the time.
Oh, maintain it. Yes.
Maintain it messy. It stayed messy. Yeah.
No, when it was a big clean, she would go clean her room.
That's all her
Yeah, but
job.
look
She never had-
look at the
she never
filth she
came
lives
out
in now in the
with the
that room.
Oh yeah.
That is
Yeah,
hideous.
And then when she,
That is not an operable human being's room.
Other stuff, everything in my closet.
Well, we did that too, but we also had to clean the kitchen.
What do you mean you did that too?
We had
No, I'm
inspections.
saying.
Yeah, Dad would come in and inspect.
No, I know.
Casey was incredible at finding little crevices to hide stuff in. Incredible.
That
I
man,
would find them and go
Doesn't that take more
berserk.
effort than actually putting it where it's supposed to
Yeah.
I just hear. I remember Mom saying, "Did you stuff everything in the linen closet? Did you put everything under the bathroom sink?
No, Mom, that's dirty.
Then why did you put it under the kitchen sink?"
What were you doing with my phone?
Clearing out some stuff.
You better not. You weren't, were you?
Hey, Casey, do you
here we
keep
are.
your room clean now?
Ryan, I'm looking for your answer more than anything. Yeah.
I'm pretty good.
Is this what you're going to remember for your childhood? If I asked you to, in a paragraph or less? What do you remember about being a kid growing up in our house?
Well, I mean, that rings true for all of us, the weekends. But then I just remember getting screamed at a lot. Kind of stands out. But,
Screamed out for what?
I remember getting hit for
Have we paid?
not always the reason that we should have been getting hit for.
there was a reason.
Just like a bonus hit. Just because I was on the way out.
So do you think you were abused?
We were, technically.
No.
You were what?
Physically, we were.
Dad was only there one day, 2 days a week.
And he got it out.
That was pain.
Should we split this up a little bit?
Those days could be.
Well, let's just,
We can deal with
we'll do it. We'll do it. Maybe the next meal you guys can help us a little bit, or I don't know.
We've been mowed them some.
Guys, we make them feel guilty enough, they'll take the rest of the meals for the rest of the week.
Well, now that you guys...
I remember that one time in Baltimore when we heard out that
Do you want me to give this to them?
Uncle Glenn's house burned down in Kansas City.
Really?
That was the day he related to me and Damian.
I
For
did?
what?
You remember this?
Well, we were fighting in bed because we shared the same bed.
This was in Georgia?
You
Baltimore.
share the same
This is
bed.
Baltimore.
We lived in
Share the
Baltimore?
same-
Yeah, this is when we lived in Baltimore.
You
We
shared
shared
the
the same
same
water
room.
bed.
No, we had a water bed and we had a,
Oh, it was
a
a-
lofted bed.
Sometimes we'd go side to side.
But
sometimes
the thing is, yeah, and then we would switch it up, but then we both
We started to kick.
preferred the water bed. So
Then
That was not in Baltimore.
Yes,
yeah, it was. We
in
had the basement room.
No.
Laundry room?
You,
Next to
you
the
shared the
laundry.
bunk bed on Halifax.
No, we had a bunk bed over a water bed.
That was in
Doesn't-
Georgia.
I remember that,
That
but
was in the
Baltimore-
first house in Augusta.
Baltimore is just one. It was just one water bed. There.
Nuh-uh. Yeah, you had a water bed and a...
Does it matter?
Took
The
her
story
every
of-
other night you...
No,
That's what I'm trying to say.
I know.
We're talking about Baltimore.
I know, but you didn't.
Shared a bed. We shared a
We had
bed.
very
You didn't do anything,
We
did
would
you?
listen to Orioles games every night.
We would.
We would listen to Orioles games.
I remember drawing a lot of stegosauruses.
That's what I
If you shared the bed, it was a
You drew a lot
king
of
size
ninjas.
bed.
Let me
It was
ask
a
you
really
this.
big water
Let me
bed.
ask you this.
King size.
And then
And then Uncle, if we would fight, we'd be kicking each other, yelling at each other.
Thank you very much, Rachel.
No, that's
I know.
sign it.
Oh yeah.
And I don't like. Do
I'll take care of it in the right
13%.
way.
Hey, well then, as you go forward, and I know none of you seem to really
No, I gotta
want.
hear
No,
the
wait a
story.
minute, he was telling us.
Oh, he says he really got it bad the day that the fire took down.
Why does that happen?
Because me and Damian were fighting, and Dad was real upset about it. He came down and whooped our ass. That was the night we were bruised.
You never were
I
bruised.
bruised. You blocked that out?
No, I just never know that. I never knew that.
That? Who's that bad? Who's that bad?
Oh yeah, if your father bruises you, I never bruised you.
Yes, you did. You came down and you hugged me the next day because you felt bad.
That sounds true.
At least
Well,
he was good at trying to.
Let me ask you this. Have you thought forward enough? And I don't think any of you have, but let's just see. Have you made definitive decisions about what you will and will not do with your children?
Yep, getting a maid.
You're getting a maid.
Yeah,
To
Mariana
clean your
had a
children.
nanny that helped raise her kind of too. She felt very close to her. And she's clean. Mariana is, as a result.
Me how to do
See?
because they clean together.
They did it together.
Yeah, we will have to clean with her. Like,
So
it's
Casey-
not that she had to do
So
everything.
Casey has essentially not come up with a way to rear his children, but to make it so he doesn't have to.
Those kids to work at an early age.
Just for the cleaning.
Do you remember giving this woman much pushback when she said, "Come on, Mariana, your parents are at work"?
Oh no, my mom will be there and say what we will have to do, and she will just help my mom with.
Enforce it.
Yeah, but we all had to do our beds and
Did
wash
she
the
ever-
dishes. She will just help my mom so that she wouldn't have.
Did
to
you cooperate or what?
Did she ever whoop
Like
you?
a little assistant
Whoop,
help you
what is
raise
that?
the kids? You stay there at home and you just have it.
No. She was not the nanny. She used to help my mom.
That's usually what
No,
your
but
mom
we
is
will
for.
have.
But do you feel like you were oppressed as a child because you were expected to clean?
Oppressed.
Well, I didn't like very much cleaning my room or the bathroom, but you have to do it.
You do. You do have to do
Why
it.
were you
Why is she even in here?
Mom
Why
saw
are you
it
guys
anyway.
so
Why what?
opposed to having to clean? That's
Because I
We
want
were
to.
children. who
I think the
weren't
way
No,
it
I
was
didn't
presented was
hate
just, I don't know, the way that we were maybe lazy. We're lazy maybe. I don't know. Like we're,
Too ADD, I think.
Care about that.
Well, Rachel,
I
what do
didn't
you
like
remember?
being in a,
Did
in
your
a messy
dad-
environment.
Damian, there were a lot of.
were you cooperative in your home? Doing stuff like that?
I remember not always doing the dishes with my dad wanted me to.
Did he discipline you?
He would yell, help out with the dishes more, and then I would help.
You would.
Yeah,
Was he loud when he yelled?
sometimes.
Rachel, get in here now.
We should go. They're trying to close.
Yeah, they're trying to get.
Christmas 2014.
Why is your mom just yours?
Looking is an action. Yeah, verb's action.
That's a good level.
I mean, I'm close.
Doors
This is a
closing.
better one, I think.
I don't like that chocolate.
You think
You don't like that one?
you think we'll be able to do two things of rice with it?
Clark and Division is next.
You and
Doors open on the left at Clark and Division. Standing passengers,
That does
please
look like
do not leave at the doors.
Can you trust me with it?
Can't you trust him, Mariana?
Yeah, I can.
Are there any other girls at the office that he looks at?
No.
trolley car. He would die, but he would spare the plot. Now, how many would push the fat man over the bridge? Raise your hand.
Would you push him? Good, stop. Who would push the fat man? We'll say dad.
Wait, so there's no right-hand turn option in this one, right?
No.
You're not even on the train.
You're not on the train.
This is the same.
No, I know. I'm just saying that there's
You're either
there's not
pushing
two
someone
tracks.
down and killing them, creating an act of
No, I
murder,
understand.
or you're just letting something happen in
You're
front of
letting an accident happen.
Are we supposed to take into account the law?
That's the thing.
Any information
if I
you
go to
only
jail
take-
for the rest of my life, then
Shane, these problems you only take into
Nobody's
account
looking.
the information
Just
they
this.
give you.
The thing is, though, that's what makes this problem not work.
No.
Exactly, because it's a vacuum.
it's out of context.
We don't live in a vacuum. There's
Outside of
more and
law,
more.
outside of all these.
But I understand I understand that my morality is different than everyone else's.
Well, let's see how.
Can I?
But that's it. So you'll push him and kill him. This guy that was completely uninvolved.
I don't think I could do that. I would have to.
Well, I think what they're saying here, Evelyn, is
I think I would have to put myself if I could stop.
No.
what they're saying.
You would do nothing. Let the 5 people die.
I would scream and say,
Yep.
"Get out of the way!"
I would run around screaming and uncomfortable, and I would end up doing that.
But like Dad said, look into the eyes. But Ryan, what would you do?
I would sacrifice myself.
You can't do
I
that.
would jump off. What do you mean?
You're not fat enough to stop this train. You would kill 6 people.
You just land on top and be a part of it.
Ryan, what would you do?
I wouldn't
get an answer.
I wouldn't be in this situation.
Ryan,
I can't think about it right now.
would you kill 1 or rather 5?
He would do nothing because he can't just hide.
If I pushed, I'd always wonder the
Well, they gotta think.
if the 5 would have
If they're workers, they're probably Mexicans. Those guys.
Okay, Ryan.
No, just joking.
Contact in 5 seconds.
Good.
Ryan, you have to make a decision. 5.
Is there a
4,
panda in
3,
this area?
2.
That's too
He
easy.
didn't make a decision. He did nothing.
Ryan, what would you do? You would do nothing and kill the 5.
I wouldn't kill the 5.
I would not kill the 5. I don't think the ends justifies the means.
Alright.
You're gonna have to unpack that, Shane. You have to say something.
It's Thursday. It is New Year's Day 2015. And the kids have had a good night partying. Mom and I are here at the apartment. It's about 3 o'clock.
Hey, you know your food is still here. Hey, it's been hanging out the window. And not been frozen.
That is so funny.
Why is this place so cute?
Got his mom burned stuff. I was thinking, I was like, I wonder if there's a ledge we can put our food on. None of you guys are already doing it.
Holly, why don't you do yoga certification?
I bet our fire alarm goes
It has a
off.
lot of anatomy and physiology and therapy.
The smoke is because Evelyn has once again chosen to cook things thoroughly.
And look at this curriculum. Techniques and practice. Methods and style. Anatomy and physiology. Yoga philosophy. Yoga lifestyle. Practitioner. Being a yoga professional.
We're going out.
Yesterday,
Some
she brought to
very hard. See, Ryan already has 200 levels. This will give him 3.
No one likes wilderness therapy.
I need wilderness.
It's a Chicago dish.
Breakfast at 5 o'clock. Thursday, January 1,
Yeah.
2015.
Anyone will eat it.
Damian knows that he's under the gun. He's got to report again tonight for Sherlock Holmes and the case of the stolen goose. His father would like to go see him again, he thinks.
Dramatic counseling psychology. Bond psychotherapy. Dance
I
movement
want you
therapy.
relaxed. What? I want you to get relaxed here.
How you guys doing here? You get a whole avocado sandwich?
Little love nest here.
One of Paper Machete. My favorite part about Act 1 of Paper Machete is that it's always followed by Act 2 of Paper Machete.
brilliant winter's day in London in the year 1890. The church bells were ringing softly in the distance. Intention of wishing them the compliments of the season.
Is that you, Watson?
Indeed, it is.
Come in. Come in.
I found my friend lounging in his chair by the crackling fire. Beside the chair was a wooden chair, and on the angle of the back hung a very seedy and disreputable hard felt hat, much the worse for wear. A rather large magnifying lens lying upon the seat of the chair suggested that the hat had been suspended in this manner for the purpose of examination. You are engaged. Perhaps I interrupt you.
Not at all. I'm glad to have a friend with whom I can discuss my results. The matter is a perfectly trivial one. Do you see this old hat?
What of it?
There are points in connection with it which are not entirely devoid of interest, and even of instruction.
I suppose that, homely as it looks, this thing has some deadly story linked onto it. That it is the clue which will guide you in the solution of some mystery and in the punishment of some crime.
No crime. Only one of those whimsical little incidents which will happen when you have 4 million people jostling each other within the space of a few square miles. Amid the action and reaction of so dense a swarm of humanity, many a little problem may be presented which may be striking and bizarre without being criminal. Do you know Peterson, the porter at the Raven Hotel?
Yes?
It is to him that this trophy belongs.
It is his hat.
No, he found it. Its owner is unknown. I beg that you will look upon it not as a battered billycock, but as an intellectual problem.
How so?
First, as to how it came here. It arrived on Christmas morning in the company of a good fat goose, which is, I believe, at this moment roasting in front of the Peterson's fire. The facts are these. At about 4 o'clock on Christmas morning, Peterson was returning from some small jollification and was making his way homeward down Tottenham Court Road.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle bells.
In front of him, in the gaslight, he saw a tallish man walking with a slight stagger and carrying a white goose slung over his shoulder. As he reached the corner of Goose Street, a row broke out between a stranger and a little knot of hooligans.
Hello, Governor! What's that you got there? Why, it looks like a goose! And a fine, fat one, I do declare!
Now see here, lads, I'm not looking for any trouble.
I like myself a bit of goose now and then! As do I!
Not unusual in that area.
Indeed. One of the ruffians knocked off the man's hat.
You knocked off my hat!
That's not all we'll knock off if you don't hand over that bird!
The man raised his stick to defend himself and, swinging it over his head, smashed the shop window behind him. Peterson rushed forward to protect this stranger from his assailant.
I'll protect you, stranger!
But the man, shocked at having broken the window and seeing an official-looking person in uniform rushing towards him, dropped his goose, took to his heels, and vanished amid the labyrinth of small streets which lie at the back of Tottenham Court Road.
Understandable, but leaving Peterson to the hooligans?
The hooligans also fled at the appearance of Peterson.
Let's run, mate! What about the goose? What's going on down there? Police! Police! Forget the bloody goose!
Peterson was left in the field of battle, the spoils of victory in the shape of this battered hat and a most unimpeachable Christmas goose. It's true that for Mrs. Henry Baker was printed upon a small card tied to the bird's left leg. It is also true that the initials HB are legible upon the lining of this hat. But as there are some thousands of Bakers and some hundreds of Henry Bakers in the city of ours, it is not easy to restore lost property to any one of them.
What then did Peterson do?
He brought round both goose and hat to me on Christmas morning, knowing full well that even the slightest problems are of interest to me, The goose we retained until today, when there are signs that, in spite of the slight frost, it should be eaten without unnecessary delay, while its finder has carried it off, therefore, to fulfill the ultimate destiny of a goose, while I continue to retain the hat of the unknown gentleman who lost his Christmas dinner.
Did he not advertise?
No.
Then what clue could you have to his identity?
Only as much as we can deduce.
From his hat?
Precisely.
You can't be serious. What can you gather from this old battered felt?
Here is my lens. You know my methods. What can you gather yourself as to the individuality of the man that has worn this article?
Very ordinary black hat. The usual round shape. It's hard. Much the worse for wear. The lining was of goat silk, but is a good deal discolored. As you remarked, the initials HB are scrawled upon one side. It's cracked. Exceedingly dusty. And spotted in several places. Although, there seems to have been an attempt to hide the discolored patches by smearing them with ink.
Yes.
Yes.
But what can you see of its owner?
I can see nothing.
On the contrary, Watson, you can see everything. You fail, however, to reason from what you see. You are too timid in drawing your inferences.
Then pray tell me, what is it that you can infer from this hat? He gazed at it in that peculiar, introspective fashion which was characteristic of him.
That the man was highly intellectual is obvious from the face of it, and that he was fairly well to do within the last 3 years, although recently he has now fallen upon hard times. This may account for the fact that his wife has ceased to love him.
My dear Holmes!
He has, however, retained some degree of self-respect. He is a man that goes out very little, and it is extremely improbable that he has the gas turned on in his house.
You are certainly joking.
I never joke. Is it possible that even now, after I give you these results, you are unable to see how they are attained?
Must confess that I'm unable to follow you. For example, how did you deduce that this man was intellectual?
It is a question of cubic capacity. A man with so large a brain must have something in it.
The decline of his fortunes, then?
This hat is 3 years old. These flat brims, curled at the edge, they came in around that time. It is a hat of the very best quality. See the band of rib silk? The excellent lining. If this man could afford to buy so expensive a hat 3 years ago, and has had no new one since, then he has assuredly gone down in the world.
Well, that's clear enough.
The dust, you will observe, is not the gritty grey dust of the street, but the fluffy brown dust of the house, showing that it has been hung up indoors most of the time.
I mean, your reasoning, it's certainly plausible. But his wife? You said that she had ceased to love him.
This hat has not been brushed for weeks.
So?
When I see you, my dear Watson, with a week's accumulation of dust upon your hat, and your wife allows you to go out in such a state, I shall fear that you also have been unfortunate enough to lose your wife's affections.
He might be a bachelor.
Nay, he was bringing home the goose as a peace offering to his wife. Remember the card upon the bird's leg. You've an answer for everything. I have an answer for everything. Not I. It's the hat. The answers are there on this hat, plain as day. How many times have I told you, Watson? When you've eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable,
must be the truth. All right. All right. How on earth do you deduce that the gas is not turned on in this house?
Elementary, my dear Watson. One tallow stain, or even two, might come by chance. But when I see no less than 5, there is little doubt that the individual comes into frequent contact with burning tallow, He walks upstairs at night with a guttering candle in one hand and his hat in the other. Anyhow, he never got tallow stains from a gas jet. You satisfied?
Well, it is very ingenious. But since, as you said just now, there has been no crime committed, no harm done, save the loss of goose, all this seems a rather waste of energy. Holmes opened his mouth to reply when Peterson, the porter at the Raven Hotel, rushed into the apartment with flushed cheeks in the face of a man who was dazed with astonishment.
The ghost, Mr. Holmes. The ghost, sir. What of it then? Has it returned to life?
Happy holidays to you, Mrs. B. Happy holidays to you too, Christopher.
You done with the market, are you?
I only wish. Did you hear about my stroke of luck?
What stroke of luck is that?
On Christmas morning, I had a dozen geese left to sell. And you'll never guess who I sold them to.
Pray tell me.
Mr. Ebenezer Scrooge.
Mr. Bah Humbug himself.
The same. I hear tell that on Christmas morning he fell out of his bathroom window, landed on his head, and started raving on about ghosts.
Ghosts? Well, now I've heard everything.
I bet my last $2 he was on the drink.
It probably was, you skinflint.
Yes.
It puts a bounce on one's step and a smile upon one's face.
Oh, yes, my friend. The holidays can lift everyone's anyone's spirits.
Holidays? I was referring to our investigation. The hunt for what will certainly lead to a dastardly criminal. The pursuit of truth.
I beg your pardon.
I suppose the holidays have their merits as well.
And then we headed down Harley Street.
Get you in the paper here. Read an interview with Mr. Hyde about the mysterious disappearance of Dr. Jekyll.
And so through Whitmore Street, into Oxford Street, and in a quarter of an hour we were in Bloomsbury, at the Alpha Inn.
Wassail, wassail, all over the town. Our coast it is white and our rail it is brown. Our boat it is made of a white maple tree. With a war sailing all we'll drink unto thee.
And here is to Cherry and to his writing. And nothing like that, there a good piece of beef. Piece of beef, if fair I do see. With a war sailing all we'll drink unto thee.
And here is to Damian and to his right eye. May God send our master a good Christmas pie. Christmas pie is there I did see. With a war sailing all we'll drink unto thee. Wassail, wassail, all over the town. Our coast it is white and our rail it is brown. Our boat it is made of a white maple tree. With a war sailing all we'll drink unto thee. And here is to Bill Hale and to her left here. Pray God send the master a happy new year. Happy new year, as Harry did say. With a war sailing all we'll drink unto thee.
Here is to Raleigh and to his own town. May God send a master a Newcastle man. Round here, I pray you draw near, for these jolly wassails, and you shall hear.
Wassail, wassail, all over the town. Our coast it is white and our rail it is brown. Our boat it is made of a white maple tree. With a war sailing all we'll drink unto thee. Come sunlight, come fill us up all on our bed. And we hope that your soul is landed and rest. For if you do yours of all on us small, then down shall go on the bowl and roll. Yes, we'll light me on the front end. We'll check to the door and pull back the pin. We'll check to the door and pull back the pin. What a happy time it was
So, a bloke walks into a pub with a goose on his head, and the goose says, "Hey, can somebody please get this bloke off me bum?" How you all doing this evening? You all enjoy your holiday, please?
Finest bird I ever had the pleasure to dine
They
out.
will have a plum this year, don't you think? I was just telling me husband about these geese the other day.
Oi, you got customers?
2 glasses of beer, if you please.
Coming right up, sir.
Your beer should be excellent if it's as good as your geese.
My geese?
Yes, I was speaking only half an hour ago to Mr. Henry Baker, who was a member of your Goose Club.
Oh, yeah, kind and gentle bloke, Mr. Henry Baker is. A bit down on his luck though, poor man, but always pleasant to have a pint with. Why, I was just telling me husband the other day
I
about...
see, and where do you keep your delicious geese?
Ha! Oh, sir, them's not my geese. Hey, he thinks them's my geese. Imagine that, a bunch of geese waddling around here, bumping into the table. That's the funniest thing I've heard in years.
Indeed. Well, whose geese then?
I got the 2 dozen from a store in Covent Garden.
Ah, Covent Garden. I know some of those sellers. Which one is it?
Breckenridge is her name.
Ah, I don't know her.
A lovely woman. A bit twisted sense of humor, if you get my drift, but she's always been a straight arrow. She tells it like it is. Sometimes she could be a bit surly, but that happens to the best of us, if you know what I mean. Why, I was just telling me husband about the other
And
day.
where might I find this purveyor of geese? Miss Breckenridge.
That's Mrs. Breckenridge. She's got the 3rd stall on the left side when you enter from Sussex Alley. Of course, if you're travelling via James Street, you'll never find her.
Well, here is to your health, landlady, and prosperity to your house.
Well, I suppose you could dot down Paddington Passway and find her just as well, but I wouldn't be caught dead taking that.
Good night!
My! Ain't he the brief one?
Mrs. Breckenridge, remember, Watson, though at one end of this chain we have a goose, at the other we have Mr. John Horner, who will certainly get 7 years penal servitude unless we can prove his innocence. Now, it is possible that our inquiry may but confirm his guilt. In any case, we have a line of investigation which has been missed by the police. Let us follow it to the bitter end. Faces to the south then, and quick march. We passed across Holborn.
Miracles do happen. Read all about it. Tiny Tim walks.
Down Indell Street.
Good evening, my lord. Could you spare some silver?
Of course. Watson.
There you are.
Oh, thank you. You're an angel, sir. An angel.
Yes, I am.
And so through with zigzag slots to Covent Garden Mall.
Challenge for a shilling?
Cornish hen straight from Cornwall, 20p.
Day old Christmas cakes for tuppence.
Chestnuts roasted on an open fire, get them while they're hot.
One of the largest stores bore the name Breckenridge upon it, and the proprietor, a round-faced woman, was closing up shop.
Good evening. It is a cold night. Sold out of geese, I see.
Let's get 500 tomorrow morning.
That's no good.
Well, there's someone to stall across the way, the one with the gas flare.
But I was recommended to you.
Who by?
By the landlady of the Alpha.
Oh, yes, I sent her a couple of dozen.
Fine birds they were too. Where did you get them from?
Now then, mister, what are you driving at? Let's have it straight.
'Tis straight enough. I should like to know who sold you the geese which you supplied to the Alpha.
Well then, I shan't tell ya. So now,
It's a matter of no importance, but I don't know why you should be so troubled over such a trifle.
troubled. You'd be as troubled, maybe, if you were as pestered as I am. When I pay good money for a good article, it should be the end of the business. But it's where are the geese? And who did you sell the geese to? And what will you take for the geese? One would think where the fuss it is made over them.
I have no connection with any of the people that have been making inquiries. But if you won't tell us, the bet is off.
Bet?
I'm always ready to back my opinion on a matter of fowls. And I have a fiver that says the bird I ate is country bred.
Well, and you lost your fiver for its town bred.
It's nothing of the kind.
I say it is.
I don't believe it.
Do you think you know more about fowls than I, who have handled them ever since I was a nipper? I'm telling you, all those birds that went to the Alpha were town bred.
You'll never persuade me to believe that.
Will you bet then?
It's merely taking your money, for I know that I'm right. But I'll have a sovereign on with you, just to teach you not to be obstinate.
Well, Mr. Cocksure, I thought that I was out of geese, but before I finish, you'll find there's still one left in the shop. Do you see this book?
Well?
This is a list of folk from whom I buy. Do you see? Now then, here on this page are the country folk. We're not the least bit interested in them. Here on this page in the red ink now, this is a list of my town suppliers. Look at the third name. Just read it out to me.
Mrs. Oakshott, 117 Brixton Road, egg and poultry supplier.
And what's the last entry?
December 22nd, 24 geese sold at 7 shillings 6 pence.
Ooh, quite so. There you are. And underneath?
Sold to Mrs. Windigate of their Alpha at 12 shillings.
What have you to say now?
Sherlock Holmes looked deeply chagrined. He drew a sovereign from his pocket and slapped it down upon the slab, turning away with the air of a man whose disgust is too deep for words.
When you see a woman of such sharp features and a racing form protruding out of her pocket, you can always draw her into a bet. I dare say that if I put £100 down in front of her, she would not have given me such complete information as was drawn from her by the idea that she was doing me on a wager. We are, I fancy, nearing the end of our quest. It's the only point which remains to be
Back
determined.
again. I've had enough of you and your geese.
I don't see why you can't just answer a simple question.
Oh, one question leads to another, which leads to another. I've had it!
My friend's remarks were cut short by a loud hubbub which broke out from the store which we had just left. Turning round, we saw a pathetic rat-faced fellow standing in the center of the circle of yellow light which was streaming from the swinging lamp, while Breckenridge, the saleswoman, framed in the door of her store, was shaking her fist fiercely at the cringing figure.
Geese! 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 I wish you're all at the devil together. You can't pester me anymore with your silly talk, and I'll set the dog at ya. Now bring Mrs. Oakshott here, and I'll answer her. But what do you have to do with it? Did I buy the geese off you?
No, but one of them was mine all the same.
Well, then ask Mrs. Oakshott.
She told me to ask you.
Well, you can ask the King of Prussia for all I care. I've had enough of it. Get out of this!
This may save us a trip to Brixton Road. Come, let us see what is to be made of this fellow.
Who are you? What do you want?
You will excuse me, but I could not help but overhear the questions which you put to that saleswoman just now, and I think I may be of assistance to you.
You? What can you know of the matter?
It is my business to know what other people don't know.
You can know nothing of this.
Excuse me. I know everything of it. You are endeavoring to trace some geese, which were sold by Mrs. Oakshott at Brixton Road to a saleswoman named Breckenridge, by her in turn to Mrs. Windigate of the Alpha, and by her and for her club, of which Mr. Henry Baker is a member.
You a devil?
No, my name is Sherlock Holmes.
Your name means nothing to me. Judging by your analytical deductions, you're just the man that I long to meet. I can hardly tell you how important this matter is to me.
In that case, we had better discuss it in a cozy room rather than this windswept marketplace. But pray tell, who is it that I have the pleasure of assisting?
My name's John Robinson.
No, the real name. It's always awkward doing business with an alias.
How'd you know that wasn't my real name?
By the curve of your left eyebrow, obviously. But we don't have time for all of that now.
Well, my real name's James Ryder.
Precisely so. The head attendant at Hotel Cosmopolitan. Driver! Pray, in which you would wish to know.
The little man stood glancing from one to the other of us, with half frightened, half hopeful eyes, as one who's not sure whether he's on the verge of a windfall or catastrophe. Then he stepped into the cab.
Tally ho, not big aware!
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. All the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleigh song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. And what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. And what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
In half an hour, we were back in the sitting room at Baker Street. Nothing had been said during our drive, but the high, thin breathing of our new companion and the claspings and unclaspings of his hands spoke of the nervous tension within him.
Here we are. The fire looks very seasonable in this weather. You look cold, Ryder. Pray, take that chair by the fire. Now then, you wish to know what happened to those geese?
Yes, sir.
Or rather, I fancy, of that goose? Yes, it was one bird in which you're interested. White with a black bar across the tail.
Sir, can you tell me where it went to?
It came here.
Here?
Yes, and a most remarkable bird it proved. It's no wonder that you should take an interest in it. It laid an egg after it was dead. The brightest, bonniest little blue egg that ever was seen. I have it here in my museum.
You have it here?
The Countess of Walcott's Blue Carnival.
How'd you? You are the devil!
The game's up, Ryder. Hold up, man, or you'll fall into the fire. Give him an arm back into his chair, Walker. Give him a dash of brandy. There. Now he looks a little more human. I've almost every link in my hands and all the proofs which I could possibly need. So there's little in which you need tell me. Still, that little may as well be cleared up to make the case complete. How did you hear, Ryder, of the Countess of Morcar's Blue Stone?
Miss Catherine Cusack told me about it.
I see. Her ladyship's waiting maid. Well, the idea of Sunwell, so easily acquired, was too much for you, as it had been for many better men before you. Still, you were not very scrupulous in the means you used. You knew that this man, Horner, the plumber, had been concerned in some such matter before, and that the suspicion would rest more readily upon him. What did you do then? You made some small job in my lady's room. You and your Confederate Cusack. You then managed to have this poor man sent for. Then when he left, you rifled the jewel case, raised the alarm, and had this poor man arrested. You then took God's sake,
have mercy! Think of my father! Think of my mother! It would break their hearts! I never went wrong before. I won't do it again. I swear. I swear on the Bible. Just don't let it go to court.
Get back in your chair! It's very well to cringe and crawl now, but you thought very little of poor John Horner, who's in the dock for a crime in which he knew nothing.
I'll flee the country. I'll fly, Mr. Holmes. Then the chances against him will break down.
We'll talk about that. Let us hear now a true account of the next act. How came the stone into the goose, and the goose into the open market? Tell us the truth, for there lies your only hope in safety.
I told you just as it happened. After Horner had been arrested, it seemed to me it'd be best for me to get away with the stone at once. My connection for unloading a stone was in Kilburn. There was no place about the hotel where the stone would be safe, so I left work as if on commission and made my way to my sister's house in Brixton Road. She married a man named Oakshott and they fattened geese for the market.
Eat it all up, you bloody geese. We need you nice and fat.
All the way there, every man I met seemed to me to be a policeman. And though it was bitter cold, the sweat poured down my face as I made my way to Brixton Road. My sister asked me,
What's the matter, Jim? You look a bit pale.
I told her I'd been upset by the jewel robbery at the hotel. I'm upset by the jewel robbery at the hotel.
Oh dear. Well, this will perk you up. We've got a goose for you for a Christmas present.
What a surprise! You get me every year. You're a goose farmer. You get me a goose.
I say, someone's a grumpy Gus. Why don't you go to the backyard, smoke yourself a pipe, see if that can't make you more hospitable.
Did she suggested? Follow the agonies I had endured and coming from the hotel. At any moment I could be seized and searched and then my waistcoat pop out be a stone. I was leaning against the wall at the time and watching the geese as they bobbled about around my feet. Then suddenly, an idea came into my head. How I could beat the best detective I ever lived. I knew my sister was always as good as her word. I'd take my bird now and then I'd carry away a stone. There was a little shed in the yard behind us. I drove a bird, a fine, big one, white with a barred tail. Trying to still up and I thrust my finger down as far as it could reach. The goose gave a gulp. I could feel a stone lodged in its craw. But the brute clapped and struggled and soon my sister came out to see what was the matter.
What's the matter, Jim?
I turned to answer her and it fluttered away amongst the other birds.
Whatever were you doing with that bird, Jim?
You said I could have one for Christmas. I was just feeling which one was the fatness.
Oh. Well, we've set yours aside for you. James Bird, we called it. It's good, right? It's a great big white one over yonder.
Thank you, Maggie, but if it's all the same, I just have the one I was handling right now.
Oh, the other's a good £3 heavier. And we found...
Never mind! I have the other and I'll take it now.
Very well, which is it you want then?
The one with the barred tail there in the center of the flock.
Fine. Kill it and take it with you.
Did she say? took a knife and cut open a bird. And my heart turned to water. There's no sign of a stone. I knew some terrible mistake had occurred. I hurried back to Brixton Road and rushed from the yard, but there are no geese to be seen anywhere. Hey! Where they all got to?
Who?
Bloody geese, that's who.
Gone to the dealer, Jim.
Which dealer?
Breckenridge of Covent Garden.
There was another. With a barred tail, same as the one I chose?
Yes, there were 2 barred-tailed ones. I never could tell them apart, though.
What am I to do? Oh, it was all for nothing. What am I to do?
Are you all right, Jim? You look a mite bit pale.
I heard it's best my feet to carry me to this woman Breckenridge, but she sold the lot at once. And not one word would she say to me about where they'd gone. You heard it yourself tonight. My sister thinks that I'm going mad. And sometimes I think I am too. Here I stand, a branded thief, without ever having even touched the wealth for which I sold my character. God help me! God help me!
Get out!
What? Oh, heaven, but
No more words! Get out!
And no more words were needed. There was a rush, a clatter upon the stairs.
all right.
The bang of a door, and the crisp rattle of running footfalls from the street.
After all, Watson, I'm not retained by the police to supply their deficiencies. I suppose that I am commuting a felony, but it's just as possible that I am saving a soul.
What of John Horner, the plumber?
I shall write to Inspector Lestrade, letting him know to release Horner. No innocent man should spend the new year behind bars. As for Ryder, he will do no wrong again, but he is too terribly frightened. Send him to jail now, and you make him a jailbird for life.
'Twas indeed the last we ever saw of James Ryder.
Besides, it is the season of forgiveness. Now, Watson, are you hungry? Then shall we at last enjoy our whimsical woodcock?
Splendid idea, Holmes. Splendid.
Wants you to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they come praising the South Lord and the other too. Hey, they ring, well, people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding dong, ding dong, Merry Christmas. Ding dong, Merry Christmas. Come on, they send on without end, their joyful tone to every home.
Down they send on without end, their joyful tone to every home.
Ding dong, ding dong.
Okay, she didn't know how to. She wasn't very educated. And Dan and them saw the review, and they're like, you know what? It's so bad.
Because it's this
we don't
lady
even
writing
care.
it, like-
Look, I got the only reason I didn't get in trouble because of the way it was framed, or I would have gotten really big trouble.
Wait, somebody had a, but that was an exaggeration, right? No, there was no bone.
sticking out.
I don't know, that's what I heard. I wasn't there.
Sticking out. Like, he had the sock over it though, and it was coming out of the
We are at the diner. Shane is struggling with the no meat issue.
It's not the no meat. It's how they say, would you like chicken with this non-meat dish? No,
Karli's the winner.
Spicy or not spicy? I'll take spicy.
Anything to drink for you guys?
Water.
We're good with this.
I'll take some real water.
I can say hard. You're good. Thank you.
Are you vegetarian?
I'm pescatarian. I eat fish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Except when she has BLT.
I do grow good tomatoes, and I have to have a BLT.
I can never them through that.
Thank you.
Well, Shane, let's wrap up the vacation.
You guys are in.
Honestly, the family has gauged her acceptance in the family rather low compared to what some would assume. Mariana has gotten pretty good reviews and very good marks in that regard. But Shane is still hesitant to accept her into the family. Overall, it's been a phenomenal time. Damian's provided a good show with Watson. And our brother Casey and our brother Ryan have just parted with us this morning. Overall, I'd say it was quite a success.
Some people will look back and wonder what happened to the movie that was supposed to be produced, The Family of the Wood.
It is still in the making. Sometimes when it comes to upon review of the first few scenes that we took in Lamoni, Iowa, we realized that giving Dad ad-lib opportunities might not be the best approach for filmmaking. So we are going to take the next few weeks to type up some dialogue that we think is more appropriately useful for the actual plot of the story. Until then, it will have to remain in the database.
There's a rumor that you were really offended when Casey would not play Smash with you on Friday evening.
I was not offended, as everybody in the family seems to think the game is taboo anyway, but I did have to deal with a lot throughout this week, sharing my best friend with his beloved senorita, and that is always something that takes getting used to.
You had a chance to bond with your sister Karli again these last 2 weeks.
Always a pleasure and always very, very informative.
But you've learned anything about her? You think she's growing up nicely?
She's growing up wonderfully. And in her growing, I grow too. And that's always a great experience.
Casey, is he different?
Yes.
In a good way or bad? Have you lost that innocent little man?
He's lost the child, but he's...
Can you still relate?
Moving quickly to adulthood. I can relate, but it took me 24 years to try to figure out how to relate to who he used to be. Now I can relate to who he has become, who he has become. Which I fear is not nearly as eccentric as he used to be. Sad reality.
Let's move over now to Karli Conrad-Davis. Karli, quickly in a paragraph, how would you assess the vacation?
Assess the vacation as a very huge success. Smashing success. We started off in Lamoni and spending time just hanging around the house. Damian was not with us. Trying to figure out what to do every day. We cut down a tree, we cut down another tree, we gave presents to each other, we went shopping, ate a lot of food, and then we came to Chicago and we met up with Damian and we ate a lot more food. We sat around some more in a nice little condo. It was fun.
This time a year ago, you were heading back to Indiana. Are you happy that it's this year instead of last?
I am, because this year I'm not on edge, I'm not freaking out about anything. Now I get to go to a cooking class,
and then this is your last swan song, your last hurrah in the college atmosphere, maybe forever academically. How do you feel about that?
Very good. I feel like it has been a long run with Graceland, and I've met a lot of people and learned a lot of things. And this last semester is going to present me with even more knowledge and critical thinking. It's going to be a very good one. And maybe go to California for an improv trip.
So there you have it. Christmas 2014-15 in the books. We wrap up with dinner at the Chicago Diner. There is no meat. Shane, show them what it says on the menu. We don't have any more menus. Not a lick of meat in the house.
No meat since
We're going to try to make it work. Evelyn is so happy. And yet she had trouble ordering. And she went with something that is fried, which I find very interesting.
Country fried steak.
But anything that's fried,
It's not fried. Well, it is a little bit. It has a little. Yeah. I've always loved country fried steak. I haven't eaten it for years, and I'm gonna see how this measures up.
And there you have it. Shane